Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio by Ray Ora,
Good morning.
who needs to move his monitor.
Oh.
We've
Hey,
got
monitor.
Jonathan Voikos
Move
here.
your monitor.
Writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett, who's got to get the popcorn out of his mouth.
Yeah, I'm looking to get some butter delivery system on my lips very quickly.
And most importantly, so many places you go. You guys are here. Thanks for joining us and making today's show as part of your day. Here's how it's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a bunch of predetermined topics. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a comment or a question, thought, theory, or opinion that you'd like us to address, and as long as we consider it to be appropriate to be addressed on the show, you can go ahead and use our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. You can also find that link in the description. Go ahead and send on in your question. The greatest thing about this tip link is that you can use it 24 hours a day. So if you're watching this show and it's not live, like you're watching it later in the evening, you can still send in a question. We'll address it on the next show. All right, guys. With that all down, we got a packed show today. So let's get things started with this. Ted Lasso is really the show that kind of announced to the world. I mean, it was supposed to be a morning show, which is great, but Apple TV Plus didn't really get everybody's attention until Ted Lasso came out. It's just a wonderful, charming show, simple show. It's about good people doing good things. I just love that. It's so heartwarming. I love this show dearly. Now, when season 3 was coming to its conclusion, a lot of people said, well, this is the end of the series, right? End of the series. But if you guys remember, something interesting happened. A few weeks before the finale, the show was being described in their official press releases as the series finale. But if you remember, we talked about this on our show when it was happening. A few weeks before that finale, they changed their language to season finale. They specifically changed it from series finale to season finale. Many of you guys will remember that. So that's kept the speculation going that at some point we may get another Ted Lasso season. Well, a new little piece of evidence may have just popped up that that's happening, coming to us from one of the actors on the show, Muhammad, who played Nate, the character I've never wanted to die more on a television show ever. But he was great in the role. He was fantastic in it. And he may have just dropped a hint that we might be getting a season 4 because Ted Lasso is just releasing what they are calling the complete series. Ted Lasso on Blu-ray and DVD, the complete series. Well, Nick Muhammad shared that release and he put in quotes, the complete series, with a little winky face after it coming out. Now, of course, this might be much ado about nothing, but I, Rob, have always believed that they will do another season of Ted Lasso. It's not even something that needs a big story arc. Just show these delightful characters being delightful. And that's what warmed everybody's hearts. And I think I've always thought they would do another one. I see Nick Muhammad putting this out with, the complete series. I think at some point, this to me just convinces me even more we're going to be, am I reading too much into this?
I don't think so. I mean, look, the way people use social media now and drop these kinds of, also, if he's doing this, he's probably been allowed to do it. You know, it's,
Right.
Or somebody said, oh, we don't really care one way or another. I mean, he didn't come out and say they were doing another one. He's allowing you to infer meaning into what he posted, like we're doing right now. And, I mean, I think that the world maybe would be a better place with another season of Ted Lasso. I would not object to seeing more Ted.
The world would be a better place.
It would be a better
with more
place.
Ted Lasso.
I mean, isn't that what they're supposed to do?
Yes.
I'd like to buy the world a Coke and some Ted Lasso.
And technically that box does not say the complete. He said it, but the box does not say it.
You know what? I thought that it did, but
It
now
says
that
the
I'm
Richmond
looking
way.
at
It
this
says
box,
it says the Richmond way, right?
Yeah.
Right.
See?
Yeah.
Ted Lasso the Richmond way.
okay, maybe, but I believe they're marketing it as the complete series. But I got to tell you what. Look, if they never make another season of Ted Lasso, that's fine. The show is delightful and wonderful, and I loved it. But I really do think they're planning on coming back for more. I really do. And I think this just drives that point home for me a little bit more. Question is for you guys. What do you think? Do you think they're planning on doing another season of Ted Lasso? Do you think I, like many movie and TV fans often do, am just reading a little too much into it? Maybe you do. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, let's talk about this. May 30th, 2024 is going to be a day we all remember. It is the day that the popcorn bucket wars truly began.
Oh man.
You guys will
boy.
remember what we all understood to be a pretty inappropriate Dune 2 popcorn bucket. It's like, did they not see what the rest of us all see? That you just gave kids a fleshlight? That's fine. Kevin Feige got on stage with Deadpool director Sean Levy at CinemaCon back in April and said basically this: wait till you guys see the popcorn bucket. Because if you thought the Dune one was inappropriate, you got this. So good Canadian kid, our friend Ryan Reynolds, got on his Instagram and shared this little video of him stroking it ever so gently of the new Deadpool and Wolverine popcorn bucket, which is basically Wolverine with a mouth wide open. He doesn't have to, you don't have to say anything in it. He doesn't have to put any text, anything like that. A little boop on the nose. Now, what really kills me, though, and I'll just take a second, and yes, it'll hold popcorn. Apparently, it'll hold popcorn. But here's the part that kills me. It's getting near the end. The close-up goes back onto his face, and then the little piece de resistance, the gooiness flowing down his face. And then, of course, it's saying, written in red crayon, designed by Deadpool. Look, we have discussed for years and years and years, ever since Deadpool 1, the brilliance of the marketing of the Deadpool franchise outside of the traditional marketing avenues. The TV spots, the newspaper ads,
What did I
the
say last
billboards,
week?
and the trailers. We've talked for years about Ryan Reynolds is a genius at marketing these movies in unconventional ways. Taking advantage of and by the way, for this Wolverine popcorn bucket, we all have to thank Dune, because this popcorn bucket wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the Dune popcorn bucket, right? 100% it would. But this is just yet another sign that we are in for a couple of months of more absolute brilliant marketing, and then raises the question: when does Hugh Jackman post on his Instagram feed the Deadpool popcorn bucket designed by Wolverine? And how do you top this? Hey, Rob, you had a chance to see this. What was your reaction to it?
I was uncomfortable, to say the least. I'm like, is this a blow-up popcorn bucket?
I just want to point out that Jonathan was mentioning this earlier. The top comment on the post is Nathan Fillion saying, "I'm ... uncomfortable."
Oh,
That's exactly what Nathan Fillion wrote on it.
I mean, it is.
This thing has a tongue.
Yeah, it has.
It has a tongue.
It has a tongue.
It has a tongue for the gooey butter to drip down onto.
A textured tongue.
A textured tongue.
I just, bravo to them. But you know what, John? Okay. Not to be a party pooper, but if we're going to get 2 months of this, by the time this movie comes out, do you think that maybe it's a little bit overkill? If this movie doesn't deliver, if angels don't weep during the end credits of Deadpool and Wolverine, will it be a disappointment? Are they setting us up? I mean, we're being teed up to think we're going to have the greatest cinematic movie-going experience of our lives.
You're going to have great popcorn anyway.
Yeah, at the very least, we're going to have some gooey, delightful popcorn.
I mean, this is just the beginning. We're still almost 2 months out.
You know what? But here's the thing. Let's say Deadpool and Wolverine sucks, which nobody thinks it will, but it's possible. It's
Yeah.
possible.
Or a slight disappointment.
Okay, let's even say that.
Yeah.
Even if it is, the entertainment value I'm just getting from the marketing campaign
It's true.
Read it.
is worth
It's
whatever
true.
movie ticket a price I pay to go see it. I love this. I love this. I want to see more of it. I almost wanted to commission Ray to design a Deadpool and Wolverine popcorn bucket, but I never got around to asking him to do it. He just gave me that look when I proposed doing any kind of additional work.
Isn't it wild that we have these giant hundreds of millions of dollar movies that are directed at like literally, pretty much everybody, and yet this little niche popcorn bucket thing, beginning with Dune and now going to Deadpool and Wolverine. Can you believe we live in a world? What's next?
But here's the other thing. It's not just marketing brilliance. Does anybody in this room or any of you at home have any doubt, like any doubt at all, that no matter how many of these they produce, they are going to sell out?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I don't.
Anybody doubt that?
No.
I mean, these are going to fly off the shelves. You know, the great thing about us having pre-signed seating at movie theaters now is that we don't have to go to the movie theaters 2 hours in advance to stand in line to get our tickets. But for Deadpool and Wolverine, you might, I'm not even kidding, you might actually see those 1, 2, 2.5 hour lines from people lining up just so they can get into the theater and buy that popcorn.
Yeah,
and then sell it on eBay for $700 and on username RayAura1. I mean, that's probably...
Are they going to be selling these in advance? Like, when do these go on sale?
You
Yeah,
reserve
most
them in
likely
advance.
Most likely.
You can reserve them in advance.
I mean, my God, this thing, like, I am just waiting to see the next one. What's the Hugh Jackman one going to be of Deadpool?
The fan event is giving away an exclusive mystery keychain. Ooh.
When is the fan event?
That's the one we're going to.
We already got tickets to it?
To Deadpool Wolverine? Yeah, you didn't see in the app?
I didn't even know we got those. Okay, yay! Hopefully we'll get ourselves a popcorn bucket. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Will you remember May 30th, 2024, exactly where you were sitting when you saw all the filthy goodness of the brand new Deadpool and Wolverine bucket? Whatever you guys think about it, jump on down in the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, we got breaking news. Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Mahershala Ali is now in talks to star in Blade. Oh, no, not Blade. To star in the new Jurassic World movie, one that Scarlett Johansson has already joined. The two-time Oscar winner, two-time, will join Scarlett Johansson as the latest installment of the Dino Mighty Universe franchise. Guys, I am reading this right now for the first time, the same time that you guys are hearing it. Hollywood Reporter says this: Mahershala Ali, the two-time Oscar winner, who was last seen in Netflix's hit thriller Leave the World Behind, is in talks to join Scarlett Johansson in the Universal's new Jurassic World feature. Jonathan Bailey, Rupert Friend, we talked about Rupert joining it the other day, Rupert Friend, and Manuel Garcia Rolfo are also on the manifest for the project that is stomping towards production start in mid-June in London with Garrett Edwards in the director's chair. The studio is keeping plot details hidden in a can of Barbasol. Nice, that's good. In a can of Barbasol, David Coop, the original screenwriter of Jurassic Park 1993 and The Lost World Jurassic Park 1997, wrote the script for the new installment, which is something I've always been excited about. The guy who wrote the original Jurassic Park screenplay is writing this. All right. Obviously, I think first question that's going to come up to a lot of people, anything involving Mahershala Ali, is this a negative sign for Blade? Is this a negative sign for Blade? I think... Now, you know me, I said this on the show the other, I'm starting to believe at some point we're going to hear that Mahershala Ali is dropping out of Blade. That's not based on anything. That's just me guessing. Just a pure speculation on my part. But do I believe that this is a sign that he's leaving Blade? No. Remember, they were saying they're probably not going to start shooting Blade, so they claim, later in the fall, maybe even early winter, right? Mahershala Ali will probably only be on set of this movie for probably about 2 months. 2, maybe 3. And if they start shooting mid-June, then you're talking about mid-July, August, September. He could shoot his Jurassic Park stuff, be done, and then be ready to put on the black leather overcoat, pretend he's in the Matrix, and join the MCU as Blade. I mean, that's still totally feasible and possible there. I still have my doubts that it'll happen, but I don't think him joining Jurassic Park or Jurassic World is going to have anything to do to impact that. Okay, so let's go on to the story at hand. Mahershala frickin' Ali has just joined the new Jurassic World. And I know a lot of us, Rob, I brought up questions about it too, saying, you know, with the last one being done and they're moving on with new cast, is it now, are they going to start winding up the Jurassic thing? I honestly, if you had asked me, would major stars join this project? I would have probably thought no. And then Scarlett Johansson joined it. And then they put some nice supporting pieces around her. And now out of nowhere, they're announcing two-time Academy Award winner Mahershala Ali joining this thing too. Listen, Scarlett Johansson is notoriously picky about which movies she'll do. Mahershala Ali has really just been doing a lot of awards stuff. this, listen, who knows if the movie's going to be good or not, but I think this at least all bodes well. Rob, you're just hearing this for the first time. Mahershala Ali joins the new Jurassic World. What do you think?
I mean, they're not skimping on cast. You know,
No,
you've got a great cast. I would imagine that they know something about this storyline. Gareth Edwards is I think, really interesting choice. He knows how to create amazing visual effects that don't necessarily break the bank. He comes out of that. His first movie, Monster, proved that. And with this cast, I mean, look, you know, if you're going to be in one of these movies, I'm sure Scarlett Johansson is thinking about the fact that she's going to have kids. You know, maybe Mahershala Ali already does.
I think she already has kids.
I
think she does, yeah.
So any parent who has the clout in Hollywood to get themselves in a Jurassic Park movie, what better thing can you do for your kids than be in a movie where, as we always say, John, what do kids love? Dinosaurs eating people. And there's not a bigger gift you
I don't know that I always
children.
say that, but that's not a bad,
Dude,
not a bad truism.
Dinosaurs eating people, apes on horseback with rifles.
And ninjas.
That's right. You can't go wrong. And if you can give the children a gift of seeing their parents coexisting with dinosaurs, I think you take it. I think that's a truism in Hollywood. It's truism in life. If you have an opportunity to get yourself in a Jurassic Park movie that's probably going to gross $1 billion, you get a payday, and your kids think you're a god.
Yeah, and let's not forget, like if some of you may have winced a little bit when Rob suggested this thing could make $1 billion, don't forget, the last one was not a good movie. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. And it still made $1 billion.
Yeah.
If this one is much better, again, you got the screenwriter from the original Jurassic Park. You got ScarJo. You got like Mahershala on there. I mean, this is shaping up pretty good. Anyway, question is for you guys. What do you think about this? Mahershala Ali is going to pet dinosaurs because that's what Mahershala Ali does. Do you like the addition? Does it move the barometer for you at all about what your expectations for the movie are? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, that down. Let's move on to this, shall we? We've been talking for a little over a week now about the fact that Rian Johnson came out of nowhere and announced that Knives Out 3, Wake Up Dead Man, is going into production imminently, and it's actually going to be released next year. It's not often you hear the announcement for a movie and that it's going to be in theaters within the year of when it's announced, which is totally awesome. Now, they already announced a couple of cast members, and it's kind of been rounding out nicely. Well, in the last 24 hours, 3 other major names have been added to the list, and they include someone who I know is a favorite of Rob's, Glenn Close.
Oh, yes.
Has joined the new Knives Out. Kerry Washington, who I adore, has joined the new Knives Out. And now, as of this morning, is being reported just a little bit ago, that Jeremy Renner, the man who fought a snowplow and won, has joined the cast of Knives Out, Wake Up Dead Man. This is coming to us from Deadline. They wrote the following: exclusive with the 3rd season of Mayor of Kingstown, which I also cannot wait to watch. I love that show. Bowing this Sunday, Jeremy Renner has found his next major movie project as the Oscar-nominated actor is set to join Daniel Craig in Netflix's Wake Up Dead Man. He joins new cast members Kerry Washington, Josh O'Connor, Kaylee Spaney, Glenn Close, and Andrew Scott, with Craig set to return as the world-renowned detective Benoit Blanc. And Rian Johnson back as the director. Johnson also penned the script and will produce through his T Street along with producing partner Ram Bergman, the most fake name in Hollywood. Wow, Jeremy Renner has joined the cast. I'm running out of names that they can join. I am already, first of all, I love the Knives Out films. I love them both. I think they're fantastic. I love a good whodunit murder mystery. And moving into this one, having Daniel Craig back again, now you're adding names like Kerry Washington, Glenn Close, Jeremy Renner, to already go with some new, younger, up-and-coming talent that they had already joined. Rob, I am positively giddy about this movie. I really hope Netflix doesn't screw themselves and just drop it on their service. I hope they take that little test they did with Glass Onion and expand on that a bit for the next one. Give us a good theatrical experience with it. But anyway, Rob, you're hearing Glenn Close, Kerry Washington, Jeremy Renner. What do you think?
What's not to love? I mean, what a great cast. You know, when I was a kid, I loved those casts of thousands movies that they would make, like the Towering Inferno, stuff like that. I loved Poseidon Adventure, Earthquake. They were usually disaster movies, but to see these kinds of stars show up for this, I think it's great. There's only one thing about this franchise that perplexes me, though. why do they keep saying it's a Knives Out mystery? Why isn't it a Benoit Blanc?
People can't pronounce the
mystery?
name.
Because Knives Out was the title of the movie. You know, I mean, Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. Well, it isn't a Knives Out mystery. Wake Up Dead Man is the title Knives Out for a different case. So why not Benoit Blanc, a Benoit Blanc mystery? Dahlia on Twitter, a friend of mine who I follow, she pointed out the same thing, and she's right. I'm like, why is it a knife? I mean, I understand, but they don't call, Raiders of the Lost Ark. It was not the Temple of Doom, a Raiders of the Lost Ark adventure.
Yeah, I'll tell you why they do it. It's the marketing. Because while it makes more sense to call it a Benoit Blanc mystery, it 100% makes more sense. What will average moviegoers out there recognize more? The name Benoit Blanc or the name Knives Out?
I know.
Right? So and that's all really at the end of the day, as much as I romanticize having a good, cool artistic title, the reality is the title of a movie is nothing more than another marketing tool.
It's true.
Right? And having the words Knives Out instantly lets people recognize, oh, this is that series or franchise more than.
I totally get that,
Blanc.
but calling it a Knives Out mystery is odd to me. Like, just from, like you said, a marketing standpoint. Okay, I Knives Out. I saw Knives Out. How is this tied into Knives Out? Oh, it's Benoit Blanc.
Well,
I know. I'm just being a stickler, but it's the
because
character.
Knives Out is what was the big hit, and it's like, oh man, this is like in that same world.
I know.
Listen, I wish they had called The Godfather Mafia Pop, but you don't always get your way.
Mafia Pop? Mafia Pop.
That's actually a pretty good title.
Mafia Pop. By the way, Ray, maybe you can just double check this. Somebody in the live chat is saying that Regal just released their Deadpool popcorn bucket. Maybe they're thinking about the one we already talked about, but at any rate. Anyway.
Would that be on Hugh Jackman's Instagram feed?
It might be.
Someone wrote, we need a Benoit bucket.
We need a Benoit bucket. Tell you what, the popcorn bucket.
Wouldn't that be two buckets?
Yeah, the popcorn bucket war has begun. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Do you love the Knives Out films as much as I do? Maybe not. Maybe more so. What do you think about these new cast additions? I love them. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? I unapologetically love the Guy Ritchie, Jude Law, Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes. I loved it. The second one was a step down. The second one wasn't as good, but I still enjoyed it. And the world has kind of been sitting around waiting for Guy Ritchie and Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law to get back together again and make the next one. They've talked about it for years. Well, now Guy Ritchie is delivering on that promise to bring us more Sherlock Holmes. But it won't be with Robert Downey Jr. and it won't be with Jude Law. They're going the Indiana Jones route and doing the young Sherlock Holmes. This is coming to us from Variety. It writes, Amazon orders young Sherlock Holmes series starring Hero Fiennes Tiffin. If you recognize that last name, Fiennes, he is the nephew of Joseph and Rafe Fiennes. Maybe the best brother acting duo ever in history. Anyway. That's the kid. You might recognize him. He was young Voldemort. He was young Tom in the Harry Potter movies. Anyway, actually, handsome kid. The story goes on to read this. Amazon Prime Video has ordered a series based on Andy Lane's young Sherlock Holmes novels with Hero Fiennes Tiffin set for the lead role, Variety has learned. Guy Ritchie is attached to direct and executive produce the 8-episode series. It will be a reunion for Ritchie and Tiffin, who recently worked together on the feature The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. It is also the latest Sherlock Holmes project for Ritchie. He, of course, previously directed the early ones. In Young Sherlock, we're going to see an exhilarating new version of the detective everyone thinks they know in a way they've never imagined before, said Ritchie. We're going to crack open this enigmatic character, find out what makes him tick, and learn how he becomes the genius that we all love. All right. This ain't what I asked for. Excuse me, sir. Yeah, I didn't order the sweet and sour. I ordered the barbecue. I did not ask for young Sherlock Holmes. I asked for more Sherlock Holmes. Now that I got that bitchiness out of the way, what do I think about this in and of itself? I'll check it out. It's Guy Ritchie. It's Sherlock Holmes. Granted, it's a different version of Sherlock Holmes. And I'm going to go into this like I do into everything. I'm going to judge it on its own merits. I'm not going to go into this with pissy pants and go, well, I wanted a Robert Downey Jr. movie, which I did. And that is how I said it when I first read the story in my own head. I wanted Robert Downey Jr. more. I wanted more Jude Law. But I'm not getting it. Okay. I'm going to go into this, judge it on its own merits, and hopefully it's great. Amazon has done a really good job with some of their series lately. This could be great. I like the kid they've got for it. So hopefully it'll be a banger. Rob, the most important part here is Guy Ritchie's executive producing and directing it. So that gives it a big first step forward, in my opinion. So it's not what I was hoping for, but I'll take it. We'll see how good it is. What do you think about the news?
I just want to know if he's going to team up with Millie Bobby Brown as Enola Holmes.
I think that's a different world.
Create a cinematic universe.
Yeah, it's
the
all
Netflix
cinematic,
and Amazon things.
Look, I don't know if you ever saw, but Barry Levinson made his movie Young Sherlock Holmes back in the mid 80s.
Yep, I remember that.
It was a Steven Spielberg production. I really liked that movie. I thought it was really good. I have it on disc. I watched it, I don't know, in the last year, and it was delightful. So I like the idea of a young Sherlock Holmes, that kind of milieu. I think it could be a lot of fun, and with him directing, I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I mean, like you, I'll watch it. I think that why not? If I trust Guy Ritchie to bring something that is a lot of fun, and it'll have great acting in it, probably great characters, great villain, great milieu. What's not to love?
Do you think we ever will get that next Sherlock Holmes movie? Because, I mean, seriously, I thought, now again, I acknowledge the second one was a step down. Yes. But you set up a great Moriarty. You have a great lead Sherlock. You have a great Watson and Jude Law. I just don't know what has been the thing holding this up. I mean, I think most fans say they'd love to see it. With Robert Downey Jr. now being hotter than again, Robert Downey Jr. does have a history of pricing himself out of projects. He does ask for a lot, which is part of the reason why you're paying so much for tickets at the movie theater, by the way, kids. Just wanted to point that out. But anyway, do you have any hope left that we're still going to get that third Sherlock Holmes movie?
I don't think we will.
I unfortunately agree.
I don't think so. But, never say never. You never know. I mean, it really depends on, do the economics work, and does Robert Downey Jr. want to make it? I don't know.
So being priced out is one option. We thought after he left the MCU, that he'd be returning to some of these successful franchises. Do we think possibly that means his schedule is kind of booked? Possibly booked?
Could be. Listen, he's got that show on right now called the not the Survivalist. What's it called?
It's like the Recruit or the something. That looks good too. I haven't seen it.
I've not seen a single episode of it yet, but everybody who has written to me that has watched it, The Sympathizer. Thank you. King Daddy Goat was the first one to put that in, although he called it The Sympathizer. But yes, it is The Sympathizer. Everybody I've spoken to who have seen the show really likes it. None of them are saying it's the best show of the year, but they're all saying it's really quite good. So I don't know, maybe he's just gotten too busy, but really too busy for 10 years. I mean, I would love to see them do this. I really would. But anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? We may not be getting the next Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes film, but we're going to get the young the young Sherlock Holmes. Whether Enola, or as one of us said, Ebola Holmes will be in there, who knows? We'll find out. But listen, I'm disappointed it's not the movie, but I'm going to give the show a fair shake because that's what we need to do as fans. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, we still have several things we're going to talk about, including Sony is already now saying that, hey, if we buy Paramount Plus is done. We don't care about streaming. Also, Furiosa has now pretty much killed the future Mad Max franchise plans. And we're going to talk about the three main external factors that are killing the movie business right now. And can they come back from it? But before we do, we're going to take a quick second to thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Harry's and Miracle Made. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Miracle Made. Did you know that your temperature at night can have one of the greatest impacts on your sleep quality? If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Inspired by NASA, Miracle Made uses silver-infused fabrics and makes temperature-regulating bedding so that you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. When they arrived at our house, my wife Ann loved the feel of them so much, she couldn't even wait for me to get home to put them on our bed. Miracle Made has self-cleaning. These sheets are infused with silver that prevents up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. Miracle Sheets also have incredible comfort and quality. Miracle Sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands and feel as nice, if not nicer, than sheets used by some 5-star hotels. So go to TryMiracle, that's TryMiracle.com/Campea to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code Campea at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you will get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to TryMiracle.com/Campea and use the code Campea to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's TryMiracle.com/Campea to treat yourself. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Harry's. You know, guys, in order to start the John Campea Show, I had to leave my high-paying corporate job in order to set myself up to be happier and enjoy more personal success. Because sometimes to get what you want, you have to challenge the status quo and blaze your own trail. And that's exactly what the folks at Harry's did. You see, at Harry's, they saw customers getting ripped off by questionable products in the shaving industry and decided to do something better. Harry's decided to pave their own road by making beautifully designed razors for a fraction of the price of the other big brands. Exceptional products, honest prices. That's Harry's. I have fallen in love with Harry's, from their foaming shaving gel that feels just luxurious on the skin to their incredible razor that feels just as good in the hand as it does going over your skin. They've got rich, lathering, skin-softening body wash in scents like redwood, wildlands, and stone. You see, Harry's provides German-engineered blades made in their own factory that stay sharp longer. You can get a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and a travel cover for just $3 at harrys.com/Campea. Don't settle for the status quo. Blaze your own trail with Harry's. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/Campea. That's harrys.com/Campea for a $3 trial set. And thank you to our friends at Miracle Made and Harry's for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, Sony Pictures have kind of entered the fray. They're trying to buy Paramount. And a lot of us wonder, well, what's going to happen to the certain pieces, particularly Paramount Plus? Well, according to the CEO, make no mistake, they have no interest in streaming or Paramount Plus. Deadline's reporting this. Sony Pictures boss Tony, and I know I'm going to mispronounce this, Vinciquerra, skirts Paramount deal talks, but says investment focus is more IP, more product, more library to sell, not streaming. He said the following: "We are looking for strategic investments that complement our strategy." Remember, at CinemaCon the other year, the head guy at Sony got up and said, "We have no interest in streaming. We're a theatrical company. We're a production company. We're going to be the arms dealer. We're going to create the product, and then you streamers can buy it from us." So that's what they said. So we're looking for things that complement our strategy. We are not going outside of the strategy that has been enormously successful for us over the past several years, he said. We will not make investments that don't complement our core strategy. And our strategy is to have more IP, more product, more library to sell. We are not going to get into other businesses. We are not going to get into a general entertainment streaming service. We are not going to be operating other businesses that are outside the strategy that we have defined.
So there goes the bundle.
Bravo.
I have the same thing to say.
Yeah.
Bravo. I may have some criticisms about certain moves that Sony does and makes, but I have always been a big fan ever since he got up at CinemaCon a couple of years ago and made that
Was
pronouncement.
that Rothman?
No, it was Vinciquerra who's got it.
Right, yeah.
And like just saying, listen, you can go and roll the dice on the streaming stuff. And not that streaming, and he was very quick to point out, streaming's great. Streaming's wonderful, but we don't want to get into the streaming business. We are a movie production company. We want to make movies. We are going to make product. We're going to acquire product. We're going to create IP. We're going to acquire IP. But we are going to be in the product and IP business, and then we're going to sell our product. And y'all can be purchasers, but we're not going to get into streaming. And so there was some thought once Sony made that announcement that we're willing to put up $26 billion to buy Paramount, then maybe that they would just take over Paramount Plus. Now, while he does not say it directly here, John, or Rob, about Paramount Plus, he doesn't address it by name. I think, tell me if you're wrong, if I'm wrong here. Tell me if you're wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong here.
I usually am.
But it seems to me he's just basically publicly is saying this. If we are successful in our bid to buy Paramount, we are either A, shutting it down and keeping all the IP, or B, we're going to sell off Paramount Plus to one of our competitors. We're going to sell it off to Max to merge it. We're going to sell it off to Peacock to merge it. We're going to sell it off to Disney Plus to merge it, whatever. I think it's going to be A, that they're just going to shut Paramount Plus down because he just said, we want to acquire IP and we want to acquire product. So if they get Paramount, I think they're going to want to keep Yellowstone. They're going to want to keep the Star Trek franchise. They're just going to then sell it out. It's like, hey, you guys all love Star Trek Strange New Worlds? Who's the highest bidder who wants to put it on their streaming service?
Well, they'll lease it. Yeah.
Yeah, lease it, right? Who wants to, and that's their strategy for making money. So, Rob, let me ask you this. What do you think about the comments that he just made? Do you think that I'm right that this clearly indicates they have no interest in carrying on Paramount Plus? And do you think that either A, they're going to try to just shut Paramount Plus down and keep all the IP, or B, they're going to try to spin off Paramount Plus? How do you see this whole thing?
Well, I think you're right. I mean, here's the thing. When you make a show and you put it up on streaming, the show itself makes no money. The show itself becomes a percentage of whatever you're going to pay out based on your subscribers at that moment that you put up whatever show. Why would you do that? I mean, they're sitting on, like you said, all of this IP, whether it's Star Trek, whether it's Yellowstone, whether it's The Godfather, whatever Paramount projects or products they have are assets to make money from forever. You know, whereas if you put stuff on streaming, all you get is your subscribers, and that changes every month. Whether churn, people come, they go, they leave. But if you could license out a show, look at what's happening with things like Suits.
Yeah.
9 years of Suits, 9 seasons of Suits go up, become the number one thing on Netflix. And Netflix keeps, well, we got to keep that going, so we'll keep paying you.
Yeah.
How long are we to keep Suits? Netflix paid $100 million to run Friends for 1 year.
Yep.
$100 million. And if you have an incredible, deep collection, I mean, they got the original Twilight Zone, you know, and that show started, that was a 59 to 64 series. And it's how long? And they could still make money from that. Would you like the original Twilight Zone? Would you like all the Twilight Zones? We're happy to sell them to you.
That's what I'm wondering. Do they piecemeal all their IP, or do they just sell it as a package to a streamer?
Well, I mean, what they definitely won't do is, like, let's just use Star Trek as an example. They're not going to sell the Star Trek IP to anybody else.
No.
They're going to continue to produce Star Trek material, but to then license out, right?
To license out.
So will they send, hey, we've got 5, let's make an argument's sake a few years from now. We got 5 Star Trek shows, and we are licensing them out as a package.
Yeah.
So if you want one, you got to bid on all of them.
Right.
I think what they do is they piecemeal it out. I think if Peacock wants a little bit of Star Trek on their thing, they license 1 or 2 shows. Then if HBO wants to license out, it's like the NFL. The NFL is on almost every network. It's just that every network gets a little piece of it. I think they go that way. But it's a good question Jonathan raises, Rob. Do you think they try to package out something like a Yellowstone? Not that Yellowstone is even involved in this. I'm just saying for the conversation. Do they like package out Yellowstone properties? Do they package out Star Trek properties? Do they package out Sonic properties? I don't know. Which approach do you think they take?
I don't necessarily think so. I mean, they look like independent film distributors when they go sell movies at Cannes, they sometimes bundle their films together.
That's true.
To sell to distributors. Like, okay, we've got these 3 or 10 $2 million movies, and we're trying to sell them all. Problem with that is the people that made the movies, some movie might be the anchor, and that's the one everybody wants, and then all these other movies, and who gets the money? So parceling stuff out is one way to do it, which they definitely could. Like, why not? You want all the Yellowstone titles? You can have them. You can stream them all. But it's interesting because not all shows perform equally. So sometimes maybe those bundles, they're going to have to put in the stuff that doesn't necessarily, if you know that, say, certain Star Trek shows are more popular than other Star Trek shows, you'll bundle them together so you can get those other Star Trek shows to earn.
Right.
So that makes sense that they'll do that. But I think they probably will. You'll take a franchise and license the franchise out. That makes sense. Because
As
that
opposed
way,
to the whole library.
yeah, as opposed to the whole
Because I was
library.
thinking maybe you end up with like a Paramount Plus on Amazon or Paramount Plus on
Yeah,
Netflix.
no, I don't think they're going to do that. I
Not the
think
whole.
they'll because that way, like John said, you can have anybody can bid on it.
Yeah.
Anybody could be like, hey, we'd like this on our streaming service.
And then you're constantly renewing for different licenses. So.
Yeah, and those limited licenses are a year or 2, 5, whatever it is.
I mean, I won't feel bad saying bye to Paramount Plus in terms of their interface. It is the worst. It's so laggy. It's so like unresponsive. So the library is amazing. The experience on the interface sucks.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Apparently, if Sony does take over by Paramount, Paramount Plus's days are numbered. What do you think they're ultimately going to do? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down. Let's move on to this, shall we? Furiosa is a story that we've had to discuss a lot lately, obviously because of its big disappointing box office bout. Now, listen, making $32 million on your initial box office weekend is an amount that a lot of movies would kill for. I'm not losing sight of that when we talk about the negative implications. I don't lose sight of the fact that, hey, John, you don't think that a whole bunch of movies would love to make 30 million opening? Of course they would. But many of those movies didn't cost $160+ million to make. Making a $32 million long weekend opening, to be fair, a disappointment. And we've talked about what caused all that kind of stuff. The fact that all of us need to remember that Fury Road didn't make much money, to be honest, and all that kind of stuff. But whenever there's something like this, there's always consequences moving forward. The last couple of days, we've looked backwards at what may have caused Furiosa to have the disappointing outcome. But now there's repercussions to come. And it sounds like one of those repercussions is no more Mad Max universe films. That might be it, even though George Miller was planning another one. This comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter, who headlined, Furiosa box office puts brakes on George Miller's next Mad Max movie. 45 years after George Miller introduced audiences to Mad Max, the auteur may have finally hit the end of the road through the post-apocalyptic wasteland unless he finds some high-octane gasoline soon. The revered filmmaker's Furiosa Mad Max saga bowed to a disappointing $32 million domestically for the 4-day Memorial Day weekend and $36.5 million overseas, diminishing hopes for Mad Max The Wasteland. That was supposed to be the next one. Mad Max The Wasteland. Another Mad Max installment Miller had been toying with for years. Miller and Nico Lathouris, who wrote the scripts for both The Wasteland and Furiosa, as a part of the development of Mad Max Fury Road, the 2015 Warner Brothers film that became a surprise award season juggernaut, winning 6 Oscars, and which became an instant action classic. The Wasteland would have followed Max, I always mispronounce his last name, Rockatansky, in the year before Fury Road, and is said to involve a young mother and naturally include plenty of action. All right. So Mad Max The Wasteland was going to feature on Max, but it was another prequel. It was going to be yet another prequel. Set, instead of like 10 years before the events of Fury Road, set 1 year before the events of Fury Road. And I can tell you with almost all certainty, it would flop. Again. It would flop again. A prequel spin-off to a 9-year-old movie that not a lot of people saw in the first place. It probably would have flopped. I have to say I'm in complete agreement with the Hollywood Reporter here. Furiosa puts the nail in the coffin. It's done. I understand them saying, listen, Fury Road may not have made as much as Black Adam, but it won 6 Oscars. It's kind of become considered a cult classic. Let's make another one. Even though it should have been the sequel they should have done, the reality is it was probably doomed to start. And I think the fact that barring some amazing legs, which I don't think it's going to have, this thing's going to end up losing the studio money. This thing probably has a break-even point around the 350 to 400, maybe even $425 million range, and it just ain't going to get there. It's going to lose the money. And to think that another prequel to Fury Road, following up a box office disappointment in Furiosa, I think, no pun intended, Rob, I think the Mad Max saga has hit the end of its road. I think this is it. I think it's done. How do you see it?
Just make another one, man. They're cool. No, but
Will you put your money up to do it, though?
Yeah. Well, if
I wouldn't.
If I won like the $1 billion lottery, I would.
Yeah, sure.
You know, if I could do the behind the scenes DVD documentaries. No, I think you're right. I think that this is probably, and you know what? If this is the end of the Mad Max saga, it'll be a great box set on physical media. You can get it already on Groove. And I think it's a great bunch of films. From Mad Max to Furiosa, 5 bangers. And that take us through the 70s, the 80s, the 20-teens, and now the 2020s. The latter half of the 20th century and the beginning of the 21st. What's not to love?
Do you see any environment in which a studio, because let's say one studio, the studio they're with says, no, we're not going to do it, but we give you permission to shop it around. Do you see a context in which any studio, let's say they even reduce the budget by like 30%. Do you see any studio at this point saying, yes, we will put up $100 million plus marketing and all that kind of stuff to make another Mad Max movie? Because right now, I just don't see it.
I don't either. And look, if by some miracle this movie suddenly has legs and becomes the greatest showman of the wasteland, hey, maybe
showman of the wasteland.
And it just keeps playing week after week after week, and people discover it, and it ends up earning out. I think they might make another one, but right now it's looking pretty bleak because it's not just a disappointing box office. It's a really crushingly low box office for this movie.
For a movie this expensive.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. Anyway, guys, question is for you.
But it would be epic.
Can you make it epic? And which, again, highlights, it's unfortunate because Furiosa, it's a great movie.
It's great.
It's a great movie, but it's just the circumstances, the stars were all aligned against it. Guys, whatever you guys think about this, do you think that they can squeak out another one? Did you say, no way another studio is going to put up that kind of money for a movie that just can't do all that well? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's talk about this, shall we? You know, we do have, I think, the bigger movies of this year are still to come. Like, we still have Joker Part 2. We still have Despicable Me 4. We have the next Inside Out. We have Deadpool and Wolverine. These are all films that I think are going to be very, very big. But the reality is, up until this point in 2024, particularly with the struggles of, say, like a Garfield, of Furiosa, of Fall Guy, a lot of the people are asking and saying it's like the movie industry is really in trouble. And I agree. I don't think it's imminent demise or anything like that, but I believe there are dangers right now. And all of the dangers, I believe, are self-inflicted. You know, I've said before the last couple of weeks is that if the movie industry dies, on its headstone, it's not going to say it was killed by VHS or killed by streaming. No, it's going to be say death by suicide, because it's the movie industry itself that's harming the movie industry. So I was talking with somebody last night who said, like, what do you think are some of the key things that are hurting the movie industry? So I thought, you know what? That's a very interesting question. Let's make it a topic on today's show. So we're going to talk about the 3 external factors that I believe are kind of killing the movie industry right now. They can be fixed, but if not fixed, they're killing the movie industry. And notice I'm saying external factors. We're not going to get into the subjective discussion about, well, you know, Fall Guy should have been a better movie. Or we're not going to talk about the movies themselves, but the external factors that seem to be killing them. So let's start to go through this, shall we? External factors killing the industry. The first one I want to bring up is this: ticket and concession prices. Now, I will often say, and I completely believe, that I still believe a night out the movies is a value proposition. Like Chris Rock put it best. It's like, there's really not much of a cheaper thing you can do for a date night than buy a couple of movie tickets and go to the movies. I still believe that. I really do. but you cannot deny that it is a factor. The prices continue to go up and up and up. For comparison's sake, take a look at this. The average ticket price in the US just before the pandemic, right? Just before the pandemic. The average ticket price, remember, this is taking into consideration matinees, cheap weekday, half price Thursdays, whatever. So it's a little bit lower. But overall, the average ticket price for to go to a movie in 2018 was $9.11. That was just before the pandemic. Today, the average ticket is $10.79. That represents an increase of 18.5% from just before the pandemic to today. Almost 20%. That's gone up. As a matter of fact, if we want to go over to AMC, let me find a movie here. Let's say Fall Guy. No, let's not say Fall Guy. What else is out there right now? Let's say Furiosa. Let's say I wanted to go see Furiosa. So I'm going to go, first of all, I'm going to go to my movie theater, which is the AMC Tyler Galleria in Riverside, California. I'm going to say get tickets. And let's say I wanted tonight to go see Furiosa. Hopefully I didn't skip it already. There's Garfield, there's Furiosa. And I wanted to go see it in the Dolby because that's the one I like to go see. Okay, 7 p.m. tonight. I want me and Ann to go see it. I'm going to pick 2 tickets. There are a couple of tickets available here, not surprised. I'm not going to use my A-list. Look at this. $21.49 per ticket. So for 2 tickets, I'm looking at $43. $43. Now again, if Ann and I were to go to a bar tonight to hang out and grab a couple of drinks, we're spending more than that. I am still acknowledging there is a value proposition. I'm not saying there's not. Okay. But from not that long ago, and granted, I'm in the Los Angeles area where ticket prices are the highest. I get that. I acknowledge that. But this is significantly more expensive than just a couple of years ago for a couple of people to want to go to see a movie. On top of that, you have concession prices. Now, I acknowledge that concession prices, I'm going to go back to the main AMC website here. Concession prices is how movie theaters keep the lights on. I'm acknowledging that, right? Oh, do you have something you want to throw in there?
Yeah, I want to say that I purchased, I know you're going to laugh, I purchased Furiosa in a special limited edition steelbook, 4K, and it's $38.
Yeah, but when are you going to get it?
Well, it's probably sooner rather than later because it's going to come out. But what I'm saying is,
but less for the price, less for than the cost of 2 tickets.
2 tickets. I mean, it didn't used to be that way.
Yeah,
it used to be that way. And physical media now, I can own the movie for less than I can go see it in the theater. So that's what I was also going to point out. Is then why should I go to the theater? I've got a great home theater system.
Well, we're gonna address that in just a second.
Yeah, but still.
So going on with the cost of going to and again, I'm acknowledging the way movie theaters even keep the lights on is not the movie ticket prices, because most of that goes back to the studios. Where they keep their lights on is with concession stands. Again, at CinemaCon, a movie theater chain head said, "We are not in the movie business, we're in the candy business." That's essentially correct. That's how they keep the lights on. But take a look at this. If I wanted to order some food now at my AMC Tyler Galleria, and I'm going to say Ann and I are going tonight. And I'm going to say, we're going to split a popcorn. We're not going to get 2 popcorns. So if I go to a popcorn and just get a regular popcorn, say, make it a large. Okay, we'll add that to the order. And then let's say I want to get, Ann and I will each get our own drinks. We won't split a drink. We'll get our own drinks. And the AMC site is really slow. So we go over to this. We're going to get 2 large drinks. And then let's say we're going to we want some Reese's Pieces to go with that. Little bit of chocolatey sweetness to go along with the saltiness of the popcorn, right? So let me find the candy. There's is that under treats? I guess that's under treats.
I think it's treats.
So we're going to get, not ice cream, we're going to get candy. And I'm going to select an option. What do they got here? Okay, Reese's Pieces. There we go. We're going to order 1 Reese's Pieces. Add it to the thing. 1 popcorn, 2 sodas, and one bag of Reese's Pieces. $30.68.
No wonder you're doing it all wrong. There's a combo section with those exact items.
But I bet you the combo section wouldn't be much cheaper.
Right.
So here's the thing, and I want to put this in. The other night, Ann and I went to a restaurant that's local to us here that we really like, and we split a 10-ounce steak with mashed potatoes and cream spinach. We each got a drink, and we also got a side order of some really delicious Brussels sprouts. I know that sounds weird, but the way they make them really delicious. It was $29 for a steak dinner with mashed potatoes, cream things, drinks, and a side. $29, $1 less than a popcorn, 2 sodas. Also, just for comparison's sake and context, I went into Amazon. How much is a 24 case? A 24 case of Diet Pepsi? $23. $23. Now, I do and have always understood that theaters need to overcharge for concessions because that's how they keep their lights on. I get that. But it's gotten out of hand. The price gouging on it is just too high. Now, this is not just a movie theater problem. This is an industry-wide problem, and here's why. I've explained it before, but let me lay it out again. The more and more studios get their spending out of control and spend more and more and more money on these things, and I'm not trying to bash on Robert Downey Jr. I love Robert Downey Jr. Robert, I love you. You know that I do. But the more you agree to pay Robert Downey Jr. $20 million to be in a movie, the more and more movies cost. Studios got to get that money from somewhere. You know where they get it from? They get it from you. So the more and more money that they need to get back, the higher and higher our ticket prices get. So whenever we talk about like this soaring salaries or soaring production costs, I always get somebody who thinks they're smart writing and say, John, why do you care? It's not your money. Yes, it fucking is. It's your money and it's my money. It's a systemic problem. It's a thing that the whole industry is causing. And so the higher and higher the ticket prices have to be and all that kind of stuff, and the bigger and bigger cut that the studios take of this ticket prices, it puts the movie theaters in a position that to keep their lights on, they got to charge us more and more for a box of popcorn. It's all connected. If I had the meme, the GIF ready for me of the dude in Pacific Rim showing all the things on the board about everything, that's what I put up right now. It's all connected, guys. And it drives the prices higher, and it's killing the movie industry. The higher and higher it gets, the worse and worse it'll get. Fewer people go. So instead of the movie industry saying, how can we get more people to come? The studio says, how can we gouge the people more who are still coming?
And that is the thinking throughout our society now everywhere.
Oh, as a whole, for sure.
And it's really unfortunate because there's only a finite amount of money that people have. Ultimately, the same problem is going to be systemically all throughout society that they're having with streaming as well. Again, it comes down to it presents them with an option. Do you, as fewer and fewer people go, do you say we need to implement strategies to get more people to come to the theater? Or to make up for the shortfall, do we find a way to take the people who are still coming and get more money out of them? And by employing the second strategy, let's just charge the people who are still coming more. You then, for next year, reduce the amount of people coming again. Therefore, having to make up for that new shortfall by charging the people who are still coming even more, dropping your user base more and more. They need to reverse direction here and change their focus from how do we get our balance sheet back from the people who are still coming to how do we get more people to come back. Anyway, that's part one of the things that are killing the movie industry, the external problems. Taking concession prices, but again, that's not just a theater thing, that's a studio, that's a whole industry thing, and it's all connected, it's systemic. The second thing that is killing it right now, and I know it's easy to be, poly look behind and looking backwards, vision's always 2020, hindsight's 2020, I get it, but the strikes. The writer and actor strike. And I'm not blaming the writers and the actors. I'm saying everybody involved, the studios, the unions, everything. Everybody's overlooking this factor. You want to know why 2024 is struggling so far? It's because so much product got moved out of the year. So much big IP product got pushed out
We literally went weeks at a time without a major release coming into theaters. The theaters have been crying out the fact that they don't have product. Why do you think like Taylor Swift putting out a concert video was such a big deal for the movie
Or the
theater?
re-release of the Spider-Man movies.
Or
every week.
re-releasing the Spider-Man movies and re-releasing the Star Wars movies, which is good to do,
Wolverines.
but it's because the theaters are screaming for product. And on top of that, those strikes came at a time of the worst in cinematic history because of the pandemic. And the reason I blame all of them is because what's the one major union that didn't go on strike? Is the directors. Is it because the studios prefer the directors? No. Is it because the directors are more special than the actors or the writers? No. You know what the key thing was? And we harped on this over and over again. When asked one of the directors, members of the DGA, how come you guys were able to avoid a strike? He said, we started negotiations a year ago. Whereas the frickin' studios and the WGA and the SAG union, they didn't fucking start their negotiations till literally a couple of weeks before their contracts expired. Putting the entire industry in a holding pattern for days, weeks, and then months and months and months. The entire, coming off of the pandemic, when the entire industry was on life support, these fucking brain surgeons went, yeah, let's not even bother starting to try to figure out our contracts until a few weeks before it's done. I blame all of them. I don't want to hear from any of you fuckers coming back to me. John, you don't understand. The studio said this. John, you don't understand. The writer said, no, it was all of them. You all could have gone to the negotiating table a year and a half before everything was due. Coming off of the pandemic that nearly killed the entire movie industry, you fucking brain surgeons decided, let's just sit on our asses. Let's wait till we're in a better bargaining position. Let's try to screw each other over. And in the meantime, the people got screwed, the movie fans. You guys put a work stoppage in place, and I blame the studios as much as anybody else. You guys were responsible for not keeping the lights on. Coming off of the pandemic that nearly killed everything, and you guys allowed a strike to happen that just set us all back again. And in a period of time where you should have been recovering, all this kind of stuff, we now have a year 2024 where a lot of product didn't even come out, big IP got pushed out, and it's put the movie industry again on the brink. It's put us on the brink. Because as an industry as a whole, you guys had no foresight. You said, hey, you know what? Our factory has some problems and we need to fix these problems. Yeah, let's just burn the factory down. That hasn't solved anything. And here's the thing. This is the thing that kills me, Rob. This is the thing that kills me. When we sat down and looked at the deals that ultimately got hammered out between SAG and the studios and between the WG and the studios, I, for one, looked at the thing and think, yeah, all sides hammered together a pretty good deal. Everybody was a little bit unhappy. Not everybody got everything that they wanted. But you know what? They hammered out deals that were ultimately pretty good that they should have hammered out 6 months earlier. And there's no reason it could have been hammered out 6 months earlier. Instead, they put the entire industry on life support again. Screw you guys. If the movie industry dies, it's by suicide. It ain't by anything else. Anyway. Number one, ticket prices and concessions. Number two, the strikes. And number three, the evaporating theatrical window. Guys, I've said this before, I will say it again. VHS came out and everybody pronounced that it was the end of the movie industry. And it didn't. It actually created a more vibrant ecosystem of the movie industry, right? Then DVDs came out. Smaller, easier to produce, higher quality stuff. This is the end of the movie industry. But it didn't. It actually did the opposite. It created a more vibrant, more thriving, a more diverse movie sphere that everybody could be in. You had now multiple lives for the movies. It's in theaters, the home video stuff is thriving, all that kind of stuff. Then came streaming, and everybody said, this is the death of the movie theaters. But it wasn't. Streaming started to come around, but we had, like 2018, 2019, some of the biggest years in box office history. 2019 alone had $9 billion films and all that kind of stuff. It just added to a more diverse and thriving movie system. That's what streaming did. But then came the pandemic. And hey, listen, no casting too much blame on anybody. Nobody knew how to deal with a pandemic. I mean, it's easy for us to sit here a couple of years later and say, you know what they should have done? I'm guilty of that. I am. But reality is a pandemic hit and nobody knew what to do. So everybody was trying different things. I don't blame anybody for anything. But some of the lessons that they've taken out. Fall Guy just went to home video 17 days after it debuted in theaters. Fall Guy debuted in home video 17 days, between 17 days and 3 weeks, that it came out on home video, that it came out in theaters. There's two main problems with this about why this is killing the movie industry. This shrinking, because it used to be, when I was a kid, when a movie would come out in theaters, you had to wait 6 months to a year for it to come out on home video. And you know what? And when it came out on home video, it was an event. It was awesome. That changed. For the longest time, the basically standard operating procedure for Hollywood was a 90-day window, which, you know, wasn't as good for the movie industry as a whole, but it was still reasonable. You got to wait 3 months for it to come on home video. Through the pandemic, the studios decided to use the dying movie theaters and use this as leverage on them to screw them into a new deal saying 45 days, cutting it more in half. But even that's gone. Now we're seeing these windows getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And there are two major repercussions of that. Repercussion number one is that they are training and conditioning the audience that you don't have to go to the movies. That's not what they're intending, but that is ultimately what they're doing. They are conditioning the audience to say, you know what? Don't bother going, because in like 2.5 weeks, you can VOD it. You can PVOD it. No problem. And they're just telling the audience more and more. Every time they do something stupid like this, they're just telling the audience more and more, don't bother. It's just wait a couple of weeks. But here's the second big thing that nobody talks about. This early shrinking window, even for those people who still go to the movies, you know what you need to have a hit movie? Repeat business. No movie made $1 billion without a lot of people going back to the theater to see a movie a second, third, and fourth time. None in history. With these shrinking theatrical windows, what they are also telling the audience is, for those of you who still want to go, you don't need to come back and see it again. I myself, you know me, the movie theater is my church. Ask me how many times I went to see Godzilla versus Kong in theaters.
How many times did you go see Godzilla versus Kong in theaters, John?
Glad you asked, Rob. I went once. I loved the movie. I went once. Why? Because it was a stupid day and date release. I paid my money. I went to the theater. I did my time in church and I loved it. But even for me, movie going is my religion. I was like, but it's also available at home right now. So I went to the theater to see it once. I didn't give it repeat business. I only saw it the once. Fall Guy. I only got to see it in theater once because, well, now it's on home video. It's coming on home video.
And it's an extended version on home
And it's
video.
an extended version, complicating the problem even more.
Also, the return, it goes back to your very first point, because this is like, it just compounds. If you were, if you don't have something like A-list, that's fine with A-list, which I have and we have. But if not, you're paying now $60-some to see it 3 times in the theater.
Yeah. So it's the shortfall, right?
Yeah.
So now that it's a shortfall, they got to make up that money. So they're going to increase our prices of those of us who do go to the movies, and so on and so on. And the snowball keeps rolling. And if you look at these three things, and again, we're just sticking to the external factors, the external to the actual movies themselves, the ticket and concession prices, and none of these things on their own is doing it. It's a compound problem. Ticket and concession prices, the strikes totally fucked everybody, and the evaporating theatrical windows. These things are why I have been saying for a while now that if the movie industry dies, and all three of these things can be fixed, the tombstone is not going to say murdered by VHS or murdered by this or murdered by streaming or murdered by anything else. It's going to say death by suicide, because all these things are things they're doing to themselves, and they can be fixed, and I hope they get fixed. Anyway, Rob, that was a very elongated me breaking down what I see as the three main external problems. hurting the industry. Any one of these stand out to you? Or is there anything you would add to this prominent list? Because I'm sure there's many others.
Oh, yeah.
I just handled the three.
No,
main ones
I thought
see.
a very good list, great breakdown. But I would also add that the experience of movie going itself has been diminished, both in terms of production and sound. I mean, presentation and sound, and by other people. The audiences don't respect each other. People are pulling out their phones. They're talking during movies. They act like they're in their living rooms, which I've never understood. I don't understand when you've paid to go into a room where you're watching entertainment that's being presented to you. Why are you not watching the entertainment? Why are you talking to your friends?
To that exact point, I've literally heard people say, "What? I paid for my ticket to be here. I should be able to do what I want." I'm like, why would you be so stupid to pay for your ticket to do that when you could do it for free? And now you're hindering other people's payment.
Right.
I've always been, I don't know if I've just been super lucky.
That's so egocentric.
I personally have found like maybe 1 out of every 20 times I go to the theater, there's somebody disturbing me somewhere in it. So it happens.
It also might be when you go, because when you go, when you go first day or something like that, you're getting people that are. But
that's a good point.
And I also think that unless you're going to a premium theater, which you're paying a premium price for, whether it's a Dolby Cinema or it's an IMAX, you're already paying a higher ticket price. So people are not usually inclined to talk in those venues. That's why they're there. They're there to see a premium experience. But also, when theater projector bulbs are dim, that's one of my big pet peeves. I'm like, I almost want to get up and walk out when, and I understand the theaters are trying to save money by elongating the life of their bulbs. But if you're not getting a beautiful, colorful, bright presentation, it's really disappointing. And I think a lot of theaters, maybe not so much in our theaters, middle America though, whenever they can cut corners, they do. And I think the actual experience for the audience is a real problem as well. Whether it's people talking, whether it's the presentation isn't as good as it could be.
30 minutes of commercials.
30 minutes of commercials. Because like you said, and this is another thing people don't take into consideration, a movie theater is a sensory deprivation place where the lights come down and all you're doing is you're hearing and seeing. There's nothing going, there's not people shuffling around, and at least there shouldn't be. So it's a sensory deprivation place where it is psychologically allowing you, it opens up your mind. And the reason the theatrical going experience, like you said, has always been my church as well, is the penetration into my brain is much more extreme when you go see a movie with great presentation than it is when you're at home. Because you're only focusing on that. You're not thinking about other things. You're not getting up. The dog doesn't jump on your lap or whatever. You are focused on what you're watching. And I do believe that it penetrates your brain more. You get more out of it.
And the popcorn bucket too.
And a popcorn
helps.
Somebody might say to me, like, John, what do you get upset about this? I only get upset about things that I care about.
Right.
For whatever doom and gloom it may sound like I'm trying to spin off here, I do it because I love the movies. I love the movies so much. I love going to the movies. I love being around a crowd of 500 strangers. The lights go down. The movie plays. It is church. It's to the point that I want to jump up and yell amen at the end of a great movie. I really do. It's so good and it's so great. And I know that if the movie theatrical thing, we've alluded, I won't go into a spin on this now, maybe in a future video. But here's the thing. If they can't fix this, and I believe they can, but if they can't fix this and don't fix this, not when it comes to the demise of the movie theatrical experience, guess what, guys? All movies are going to start to suck. All the movies are going to get worse. They're going to start to suck and they're going to get worse. And it doesn't matter to the streamers because all they care about is quantity over quality. And again, that's another thing we can go into another time. I won't go down that rabbit hole right now. We'll do another entire video about why the death of the movie theaters will equal the death of movies, period. We'll go into that another time. But there's that. I still believe there are solutions. I believe that some wise leaders can come along, recognize these things, and start to implement fixes to fix all this. I believe it can be done, but it's just going to take somebody with the testicular fortitude to do it. And anyway, guys, that's my kind of big, huge spiel on this. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on to the most important part of our show here, shall we? Which is hearing from you guys. What do you guys want to talk about? What do you think about some of the things we discussed? That's what we're going to do right now. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second and thank another sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at The Perfect Gene. Hey guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, The Perfect Gene. Guys, are you tired of the rough and rigid jeans crushing your boys? Well, today's sponsor, The Perfect Gene, finally solved all of your denim difficulties. They make great looking, perfect fitting jeans that are as comfortable as sweatpants. The secret? A special denim fabric that is super soft and has the perfect amount of stretch so you can squat, do yoga, or just sit around all day without ever having to take them off. I'm going to admit I was a little bit skeptical because to me, jeans have always been jeans. They're practical, but not always the most comfortable. But I'm telling you guys, it's not an exaggeration. Once I put on these jeans, the Perfect Gene redefined what jeans can be to me. They're the perfect fit, they stretch, they breathe, and again, they're just insanely comfortable. So guys, it's finally time to stop crushing your balls in uncomfortable jeans by going to theperfectgene.nyc/Campea15. Our listeners get 15% off your first order plus free shipping, free returns and free exchanges when you use code Campea15 at checkout. Again, that's 15% off for new customers at theperfectgene.nyc/Campea15 and use the code Campea15. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the John Campea Show and tell them we sent you. And thank you to our friends at The Perfect Gene for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea podcast. By the way, I'm wearing them right now. I not only do I still have the two that they sent me when we started with them, I've ordered like 3 other pairs. I love the Perfect Gene. They're amazing. You definitely got to try them out. Anyway, with that down, guys, let's now do the most important thing, hearing from you, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
CM Waters is up first. One thing that's been making Star Wars a little flat for me is that it's been nothing but streaming shows for 5 years.
Yep.
Not that I want theaters bombarded like before, but it's been long enough. I want Star Wars to be an event again.
Star Wars are not supposed to be TV shows. Don't get me wrong. I love Mandalorian. I love Andor, but Star Wars is meant to be on the big screen. One of the biggest failures, of course, of Lucas in the last number of years is the fact that they killed their movies. Like we haven't, and the last one isn't even a pleasant taste in our mouth. It's the frickin' Rise of Skywalker is our last Star Wars theatrical experience. You're right. They got to prioritize this. Star Wars has got to get back on the big screen. All right. What's next?
Let's see. Benji says, so I purchased tickets to watch Hans Zimmer live in concert. And
I got those too.
As he's making his first U.S. tour in 7 years. Super excited and can't wait to hear Dune, Lion King, Interstellar, Man of Steel, Dark Knight, Inception. To me, he's reaching GOAT territory.
Look, I love Hans Zimmer. Love Hans Zimmer. He will never be the GOAT. It's just as long as John Williams isn't erased out of all history and existence, John Williams is the GOAT. But I cannot wait. Ann and I got our tickets. I cannot wait to go to this Hans Zimmer show. I'm totally excited for it. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Gus. Gus's movie says, I don't know if you've watched Apple TV's Dark Matter. This is my favorite show behind Hulu's Shogun. This is a hidden gem that everybody should watch. It is like in the top. I think it's like #1 on Apple for streaming.
It's high up there. You started
I've watched
watching?
3 episodes.
What do you think so far?
It's good. It's actually really good. It's really intriguing. It's based on a novel that I haven't read, but I want to read it. But I'll tell you, man, everything about it's great, except one thing. It's just a little dour.
Yeah, that's right. You've mentioned that before.
It's just a little dour. And it's, you're watching this, it's kind of like, it's really intriguing, but I'm kind of depressed. I'm like, is there going to be happiness in this show?
Well, I know it's high on my list. I'm going to get around to watching anything now.
But it's really good. I mean, it's like really compelling.
And I mean, who doesn't love Jennifer Connelly and Uncle Owen? Who's the actor that plays
Joel Edgerton?
Joel Edgerton, who I first really recognized. I fell in love with him in Warrior. So good.
He's
I'm
really
looking
good.
forward to seeing this. All right, what's next?
All right, Raymond says, and this is because it was sent yesterday, but as you read my tip link for Knives Out, Glenn Close was also cast. I hope it's a great role for her to work on, even if it's a supporting role, because she still doesn't have an Oscar yet. She is also 1 award away from an EGOT.
Does Glenn Close not have an Oscar? Why did I have it totally in my head that she did? Well, because she deserves one. She's
Nominated.
Been nominated how many times?
Yeah. Yeah, like I feel like almost every other Oscars there's a nomination.
Always a bridesmaid.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, now with the newest announcement, by the way, apparently while we were doing the show, Mila Kunis apparently has also joined the cast, which I think is an awesome addition. But yeah, this movie's shaping up really great, Raymond. I can't wait to watch it. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, interesting how Maui showed up late in the Moana trailer. I mean, it was a short teaser.
Yeah, it was a short teaser, and I think it's fine. Again, I love the fact that they called out the big fan thing about why wasn't the big here last time. I mean, I thought that was really cute and clever. Again, it's a first teaser. They're still months and months and months away from this movie coming out. I expect a lot more.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right. Obert Juan Canobert says with a two-parter, whatever happened to great villains in kids' movies, the kind that lived in creepy layers, sang scenery, chewing solos, and struck terror into the hearts of little kids, Ursula, Scar, Jafar, etc. These days, kids' movies don't have even have villains anymore, just abstract concepts like generational trauma or growing up. Kids today need more terror in their lives. Bring back villains.
I don't know that
Although
I
they're not
agree.
just kids' movies, they're also adult movies. as
Yeah,
we've been
I don't know that
instructed.
I agree with your basic premise of that, but I'll just point back to a movie last year, Puss in Boots. The wolf in Puss in Boots, I'm not kidding, could be a top 15 greatest villain in a movie ever. The wolf in Puss in Boots was terrifying. And when you ultimately, a little minor spoiler alert, there's a bit of a reveal about the wolf. It even heightened the terror of that thing. So yes, they do. Like animated family films, we won't call them kids films. Family films today can still have some really cool villains. And I just present Puss in Boots as a good example of that. All right, what's next?
All right. Justin says, it's 11 p.m. I'm watching a documentary about MoviePass on Max. Just want to say that I'm glad I've been following you for as long as I have. Your opinion on MoviePass saved me a ton of money.
Yeah, I still got to watch it. By the way, no knowledge of this. Anybody who's seen this, am I in it? Somebody wrote to me from an advanced screening at a film festival and they said I was in it. I have no knowledge of that. So I don't know if they were right or wrong. Let me know if they showed a clip of us in there or not. No, I've been talking about MoviePass for a long time. I loved the concept of it when it first launched. Then those people came in and took it over and ran it into the ground, and they rammed it like a mafia scheme. It was basically, they were just it was an extortion gimmick. The new owners of MoviePass turned it into an extortion ring. And then now finally the original owner has it back, and I hope they do succeed, but I'm very excited to watch this. I really am. I'm very excited to watch it. All right, what's next?
Well, oddly enough, Keelinda says, in case you missed it, the John Campea show got a shout out on the MoviePass, Movie Crash.
Okay, there you go.
HBO. What a wild story. Corporate greed at its finest. Really happy to see the original founder buy it back.
I am also very happy. First of all, look, I never want anybody to fail. All right, let's be clear. I want everybody to succeed, especially things that are meant to be good for the movie business. But these dicks who took over MoviePass for a while and basically turned it into an extortion scam, I'm glad they went broke. I really am. I mean, it was just a mess what they do. Again, I cannot wait to watch this thing. I'm very stoked about it. So I think I'm going to watch it tonight, actually.
Just real quickly, that guy, Yes, in the chat is just saying, don't filmmakers need permission for that? No, because that's fair use.
Although,
For the most part.
Although, I might remember, I've had several people do this. This has happened to me over the years. Somebody will write to me and say, can we get your permission to use a clip of you talking about this or this? And then I write, yes. That may have happened here. I'm sure that probably did happen. I just don't remember it. All right, what's next?
All right. Sticks and Stones says, R.E. Giancarlo in the MCU. My rank is in brackets after each bottom to top, Dracula C, Magneto B, Doctor Doom B, Mr. Sinister A. I've got another from left field later with insertion via the Thunderbolts. But wouldn't Leader, I think Leader is being played by someone else. Personally, I'd love to see him as any of those.
I'll see him as anything in the MCU.
Yeah, me too.
Now, there's a rumor going around right now that I don't know that I buy, saying he's going to be in Captain America 4. I don't know that I buy it. I'm not denying it. I don't know if that's true or not.
Okay, if he is, what do you think he's mostly going to play?
Dracula. No. If he is in Captain America, Sinister kind of being behind the scenes on that. Sinister's a possibility.
Or Doom? Because it's
Or
Latveria, Brave New World,
Yep,
New World,
foreign nations. This is a political
or Magneto,
kind of
same thing.
thing. Again, I don't think he's in it though, but it's possible.
Because
It's
what if
possible.
they introduced Genosha?
That
just-
would be kind of neat.
Just introduce it.
Because what's the place they introduce in
Wakanda, or sorry, in the other Captain America was Wakanda.
Yes. No, not Captain America. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Sokovia.
Nope.
Oh, Madripoor.
Madripoor. Right. So I mean, they
Yeah.
had they introduced Latveria.
Yeah.
Possible. All right. What's next?
All right, so Sticks and Stones is back, and also this is like a $30 altogether tip. So,
Thank you, Sticks and Stones. Appreciate that, man.
and just clarifies, never mind about the leader. I missed that they have Tim Blake Nelson returning, so I put my hopes behind Mr. Sinister.
Oh yeah, one of the very first things they announced was that Tim Blake Nelson was coming back. Of course, he was in the other Hulk movie with really dominating. As the stuff is dripping on his cut head. It's like, that was really weird. In an otherwise very enjoyable movie. But yeah, I'm really excited to see him come back for that. All right, what's next?
Beeper Yell says, when you moved back into your new old studio, you had an overhead camera, which you used for a couple of episodes, but then suddenly stopped. Was this due to feedback or your own assessment?
My own assessment, actually. I didn't love the shot. Now, I do like having a separate shot because I don't like a little background technical stuff. I don't like hanging on one shot for too long. I think visually, there's a mental thing, just visually, just changing up the shots makes it more engaging visually. So I like having a second camera shot. I just didn't like the one we had yet. We'll get a second shot set up at some point, but we got to work on it. But yeah, that was my own assessment. I didn't hear from anybody. All right, good question. What's next?
All right, and Caligon says, hello from Greece. Yesterday, my favorite team, Olympiakos, won the European Conference League for the first ever for a Greek team. So, John, what is it that makes you so happy, as if you have anything to earn from it? My problem still remains the same. So,
You're probably talking about like sports
Yeah.
fandom and stuff like this. Look, we get emotionally attached to things we love.
mhm.
It's really no more complicated or any more simple than that. When we love something, we get emotionally attached to it. I know. So like when a movie I love does really great, I feel, even though I'm not getting anything out of it, I get really excited. I'm so happy that this thing I love if there's a nephew I have that does something really great, I get nothing out of that, but I love the kid. So I get really excited that
Yeah.
happens. When a sports team I followed my whole freaking life in the Toronto Maple Leafs and have not been to the championships, not one, not even been to the championship Stanley Cup finals my entire lifetime, whenever they show small glimmers of success, I get really emotionally great. And when they lose, dudes, guys, listen. Far be it from me to bad talk my wife, who is the most important person in my world. She is everything to me and the coolest person I know. You don't want to come visit my house within 24 hours of a Lakers loss. Not the best time to be around Anne, because she'll tell you this herself. Her whole disposition kind of changes a little bit. Whereas in a normal day, I could bound into a room and go, honey, hey, baby, what's going on? What you doing, sweetheart? What's been going on today? And the day after a bad Laker loss, I like peek around the corner to see if Anne's in the room, try to get a good look at her face to see what kind of mood she might be exhibiting. I'd be like, hi, baby. What? Nothing. I just know, got to let the loss wear off. We just get emotionally attached to the things we love, man. We just do. All right, what's next?
Jay Newby says, Ray, have you seen Dragon Ball The Magic Begins? It's a 91 Chinese live-action adaptation that stays very true to the source material. It's cheesy, hilarious, action-packed, way better than the Evolution crap we got.
No, I have been,
So it's
but
Now
the
he's
I
going to look it up.
the
He
magic
liked the sounds of it.
begins.
He's looking up right now.
no, I haven't, but I will check this out.
I already knew where that was going. Somebody said, it's a Chinese 1991. I'm like, he didn't see this.
Oh boy, okay.
But
okay.
he looks kind of excited,
Oh
though.
man, it kind of looks a little corny, but we're gonna check it out. Look at this, Jonathan. Look at this guy.
Oh,
Why are you telling people to look at it when nobody
this
at
guy.
home can see it?
there you go.
Oh my God, this is gonna be amazing. Actually, look at it.
All right, what's next?
Matan says, Westball sat with the Hiroyuki Imiyashi of Studio Trigger kill Kill, Cyberpunk, Edge Runners, Delicious in Dungeon, where he expressed interest in the studio doing a Planet of the Apes anime.
I don't understand the question.
I think it's just that there could be a possible Planet of the Apes anime coming. It's in development. I mean, it's in talks.
I don't know why we would doubt it.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the reality is of all animation stuff, anime is pretty much on the lowest tier of expense to make it. And if you can like garner an audience and reach a demographic that you otherwise wouldn't have, and it's not that expensive to do it, I don't see it. And you know what? The reality is the anime crowd is a little bit of an insular crowd. So like, even if you make it bad, I don't think it's going to affect the overall thing. So I don't think it's a bad move, Rob. What do
I
you
don't
think?
either. Hey, there was a Planet of the Apes Saturday morning animated series in the 70s.
I don't even remember that.
Oh yeah, and when they released the DVD set, it came with that animated series.
Very cool. I'd never even heard of it.
Someone laughing at me?
Yeah,
No.
Ray's laughing at something.
No, we're just getting
Looking at-
some thumbnail
I'm
ideas.
looking at no pictures of this Dragon Ball movie. And
Yeah.
It looks hilarious. I can't wait to see this.
Uh-oh.
All right. What's next?
We got Anonymous who says, "Hey John, Wednesday night my wife and I went to watch the 30th anniversary of The Crow. Fun movie, but her thing, not mine. The theater was mostly full for a 30-year-old movie. 4 days ago, barely anyone in my theater watching Furiosa. Amazing in IMAX. Thoughts?" It was a one-night special thing too. I mean,
I think the original Crow is an overrated movie. It is. I'm sorry. It's not that good of a movie. I like it. Don't get me wrong. I like it. In a thumbs up or a thumbs down world, I'm a thumbs up. I'm a thumbs up person,
It's
but
the goth gone with the wind.
it's the goth gone
on
with the wind.
How dare you?
It's not that good.
It can't rain all the time.
It's a nice little movie. It's
Mother
not
is
that
the name
good.
of God on the lips and hearts of all children.
Anyway, like I said,
How
I
can you?
enjoy it. I'm a thumbs up for it.
from a guy who probably didn't even go see it in the theater for its anniversary.
Yeah, I never did see it in the theater.
No,
Like,
but Rob,
I should
did you
say,
even
yeah.
see it in
What?
the anniversary? The
Oh,
anniversary.
No, because I just got the 4K Blu-ray special edition from the UK.
She didn't see the anniversary at the theater.
I have a hot toy of Eric Draven behind me when I broadcast.
That doesn't mean anything. Wrong.
I got toys too.
Can't rain all the time. Come on.
All right, what's next?
Julia Goodwin says, "Do you think a longer weekly format of old TV, 25 or more episodes, would make TV shows last longer on streaming?"
No, because of why streaming cancels shows. They cancel shows. And here's the thing. They cancel shows because they don't make any money from them anymore. Remember, the main advantage a show brings to a streamer is to get new subscribers. And after 2 or 3 seasons, anybody who was going to subscribe to your streamer for that show has already done so. And to a streaming service, now there's no more need to do more seasons. It's just going to, and the longer a show goes, the more expensive it gets.
That's what I was going to say.
The
Yeah.
actors get raises,
Yeah.
the producers get raises, all
Your
that kind of stuff.
production value has to suffer.
And that's why, like, a lot of great Netflix shows will die after 1, 2, or 3 seasons because they just go, okay, we don't benefit from this show anymore. Now, there are some very, very, very rare exceptions to that. Stranger Things being one of those, right?
Yeah,
Or
well,
hyper inexpensive shows, but for the most part, so a longer season wouldn't make them last longer on stream.
It bums me out when Netflix has picked up shows like Designated Survivor or a great Canadian science fiction series starring Eric McCormack called Travelers. And I figured, ooh, great, we'll get a couple more seasons. And then they do only one. So you get a 3rd season of Designated Survivor or a 3rd season of Travelers, and then it's over.
Yeah.
And
That
they're
was
done.
me with Mindhunter, man. It killed me.
Yeah, Mindhunter. Anyway, all right, what's next?
Joe Adonis says, "Hello, John and crew. Have y'all seen the Movie Pass movie crash documentary on Max? Quite fascinating. And is the Movie Pass revival too little too late or great for casual moviegoers?"
I still believe there is a place for Movie Pass.
I do too.
Like, again, I think the best movie deal out there is, as much crap as I give AMC, deservedly so, they have the best movie subscription thing with A-List. It's fantastic. $25 a month or whatever it is, right around there. And you get up to 12 movies a month for $25. It's an amazing deal. And that includes Prime,
Yep.
IMAX, every kind of thing.
Yeah.
Regal also has a very good one. It's not as good as AMC's, but it's a very good one.
And you have to pay
Cinemark's
more.
the worst.
And you have to pay more for
Yeah.
the.
Cinemark has the worst one,
That-
but they at
Premium
least
theater.
have one.
And you know what I like about Movie Pass? The idea of it is you're not strapped to a particular theater or
That's the
or a
main
brand.
reason I think it still is relevant, because like I live right by an AMC theater. But what if I didn't? A lot of people don't. What if I live around a bunch of different types of movie theaters?
Yeah, you know.
Having Movie Pass. Now again, you're paying I think $30 for 3 movies or $40 for 4 movies. That's still saving you money. I still believe there is a place for Movie Pass, and I hope it can succeed.
They even include Harkins, Rob. The theater next.
Yep,
near
they
you.
do. They include Harkins in it.
Harkins.
They do?
Yeah.
All
Look
right,
it
what's next?
I didn't know that.
We got Dildar the Glorious. Really disappointed over Richard Dreyfuss' behavior during a screening for Jaws. He was just supposed to talk about the movie and his career, but ended up going like anti-gay and trans rant, causing people to boo him and walk out. And I lost all respect for him. But he also like even went after like Steven Spielberg and stuff. It was kind of weird. I don't know if it was a bit that went wrong or what.
Look,
Maybe he snapped.
look. Is anybody who has followed Richard Dreyfuss for the last 15 years, is anybody surprised that that happened? Richard Dreyfuss, this is just my own personal opinion, and I adore his movies. I even like Mr. Holland's Opus.
I love Mr. Holland's
I
Opus.
love Richard Dreyfuss as a performer. Always have, always will. But he has been a few shovels short of a full wheelbarrow for a number of years. So when that headline comes up, I'm like, did anybody think that that wouldn't happen? I mean, it just is what it is. Anyway, all right, what's
I
next?
still like his ice cream.
He has ice cream.
He has ice cream?
Dryers.
Oh my God.
Right?
It's not Richard Dryers.
Dryers,
Richard
right? That's the
Dreyfuss.
Dreyfuss ice
That's
cream.
what it is. Let's take it to the 50th anniversary of Jaws celebration next year. Let's all
I don't
go
know
with
why.
All right,
Dryers
what's
ice cream.
next?
Ryan
It's a long
B
day.
says, "Hi John, first time writing in after 3 years of listening to your
Oh,
show.
thank you, Ryan. Appreciate that.
Personally, I'm very excited for Deadpool and Wolverine. Full trust in Reynolds, but I was wondering what you think could go wrong to make this movie not well received by the fans. What could go wrong?
The main thing that can go wrong. Here's the main thing that can go wrong. The same thing that went wrong with She-Hulk. If it's not funny. Like you do there's a reason Ryan Reynolds is so beloved for this style thing, because he's one of the few people who seems to continuously nail it. Like I watch Welcome to Wrexham, and dude, that guy just cracks me up all the time. But if you're a comedy that is not funny and jokes don't land, an action scene that's kind of boring is not uncomfortable to watch. It's a little boring to watch. Jokes that don't land is uncomfortable. And if for whatever reason the humor they go for in Deadpool and Wolverine doesn't land, it's going to make watching that movie not just a little boring, it's going to make it uncomfortable and make you want to get up and leave. And I think that is the biggest thing. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No. But if I had to say one thing that could totally go wrong with this film, listen, if this movie's hilarious, even if the story's bad, everybody will be okay with it. If you have funny jokes and it makes you laugh throughout and it gives you that experience, it'll be fine. But Rob, the nail in this movie's coffin will be if the jokes don't land.
I do think, though, that I hope that it tells a story that has substance. Because
Sure, absolutely.
the first Deadpool certainly did.
Yep.
You know, for all of the fourth wall breaking and the hijinks ensuing and all that, it was still a legitimately good film that had stuff to say. And I really hope with this movie, because look, we're all putting our eggs in this basket. And I want this to be good. I haven't anticipated a movie. I know it's your number one movie of the year. For me, I think that was Dune 2, but my anticipation for this is off the charts. And I just want a great story that I really can get behind and go, wow, that was great.
I mean, hopefully it can be all things, right?
Yes.
But
But it's, I know I'm asking a lot out of it.
if it's not a great, deep story,
But
it
if
can still succeed if it's hilarious.
Hilarious.
But
Yes.
if it's not funny when it's trying to be funny, I don't think they recover from that.
No, but it's just like the potential, too, is not just to be funny, but to tell a pretty epic tale.
I mean, hopefully they can do it all. Right? That's the hope.
I know. It's a tall order, though.
Yeah, it is. And let's see if they do it. All right, what's next?
Kevin Pat Passad with a 3-parter. Hey, John, I'm a new Star Wars fan, and I just finished the 9 main movies. I know that you're one of the OG fans and will have better insight on this. I just found that the sequels created even more divide than the prequels. The general consensus is that people are displeased with how Luke, Han, and Leia were handled so they hate the entire trilogy because 3 people died. I don't get it. What makes these 3 so special over other characters? Well, you watch the movies, right? I
Here's
know
the
I
thing.
probably angered hardcore fans with my question, but please fill in the missing context for a new fan. Why are Luke, Han, and Leia so revered? No love for Obi-Wan, Yoda, or Anakin, or Mace.
First of all, it is why I think history is such an important topic. It's because it gets really obvious when people forget it. There were literally people coming out of the prequel movies, taking off their Jedi robes and burning them on sidewalks. This whole narrative that's around right now is like the sequels, and I say this as somebody who hates The Rise of Skywalker. The sequels were more divisive than the prequels. No, they fucking weren't. If anybody who tells you that was not at least 18 when the prequels came out, you have no idea. Now, at the time, Twitter wasn't around, Instagram wasn't around for people to share that as easily. But for those of us who were at least of age when those movies came out, we remember how bad the reaction to those movies were. It's what prompted like the People versus George Lucas and all these types of things to come out. The only difference was social media wasn't around for people to spread their vitriol. That was the only difference. But again, people literally come out of movie theaters, taking off their Jedi robes and burning them on the sidewalks. Don't believe anybody who tells you that the sequel trilogy, which was divisive, was as divisive as the prequels were. They simply were not. And anybody who's telling you that is either too young or not remembering right. But history matters, folks. It does. But then you're getting into the sequel trilogy, and it's like people come with a lot of expectations. And here's the problem. This is why one of my favorite sayings right now is don't let your speculation become expectation. Things didn't happen the way they wanted it to happen. I get it. And just, again, to me, just lack of a plan. I was totally okay that Han died. Totally okay that Han died. Harrison Ford had wanted Han Solo to die in Return of the Jedi. He's been wanting a send-off and a death scene for the character forever. I think the only reason they were able to get him to come back is because they agreed to kill off the character. So that's on Harrison Ford. And I was fine with the death. I didn't like that he died standing on some inexplicable bridge without hand railings.
Yeah, it was.
That was an odd choice. I think it was a missed opportunity not to have the original trio together on screen at some point. I think, again, story comes first, and if it didn't fit in your story, whatever. But the Luke stuff, I think Luke was completely consistent with the Luke Skywalker of the original trilogy. Anybody who tells you otherwise, I don't think they understand Star Wars. Doesn't mean you have to like what they did, though. That's a totally different scenario. I mean, listen, and then the whole thing didn't have a plan and went off the rails. Look, we got to keep moving here because we have other questions to get to. It's easily a 5-hour discussion we could have. But, I mean, at the end of the day, the sequel trilogy just wasn't great. I love the first one. Mid on the second one. Third one sucked. Some people mildly like all of them. Some people mildly dislike all of them. Some people like one or two, hate one or two. Some people hate all three. Some people love all three, whatever. But they just didn't do a good job. And when it comes down to it, if you just made all three movies great, it didn't matter if you killed all three of them in the first one or spread out killing them or not killing them at all. It wouldn't matter. If you made great movies, it wouldn't be as much of an issue. At the end of the day, though, they just failed to make a great trilogy. And when you're doing something like that with Star Wars, you got high expectations, especially when you end it off like you did on the Rise of Skywalker. Dear God, woof. Anyway, there's a lot of things that could go into it, and a lot of different opinions. All right, what's next?
We got Victor with a two-parter. The Curse of the Friday the 13th franchise continues. Following years of lawsuits, rights issues, and canceled projects, now recently the showrunner for the upcoming 824 prequel series has left the show. The original director said recently that the new... Oh, where's Victor? Uh-oh, Oh, that sucks. Do we not have Victor?
Never got a second one.
Yeah.
Or just didn't send it in when he thought he did.
Yeah.
Okay, look, I'm going to say something very unpopular. Who cares about Friday the 13th anymore? I mean, really, is there an actual desire out there? What did the last Friday the 13th movie at the movie theater do at the box office? Does anybody really hunger for new Jason movies? I'm not sure they do.
Okay, let me just say,
Yeah.
in this particular case, maybe I would have read a couple of the scripts. And what they were doing was they were delving into the first Friday the 13th, because Victor Miller, who wrote Friday the 13th, Jason does not appear in the first Friday the 13th as the masked killer.
No, he
shows
does
up
not.
at the
It's
end.
his mother.
It's his mother. The Friday the 13th series was about her, and it was a prequel, and it was by Brian Fuller, and who did Hannibal. And let me tell you, what they did, at least if maybe I would have read them, I don't know. What they did in those first two scripts was amazing.
The last
And it elevated the Friday the 13th franchise to a whole new level. And it is a damn shame. I hear that all hope is not lost. That show would have been awesome.
What do you got there, Ray?
I was just gonna say the last movie was the 2009 one,
Okay.
Friday the 13th. If you want to know that, then it opened to 40 million, and it made 91 million worldwide.
It didn't open to 41.
Well, 40 million domestic opening, 40 million.
But worldwide, it only ended up, it made 40 million opening, but only made
And it just
91
dropped.
overall.
It might have been limited release.
And then the budget was 19 million.
But again, $91 million. I just don't think, again, maybe the new show would be great, but clearly there's not a lot of interest in Jason anymore. I don't
I mean,
maybe
the
I'm
horror
wrong.
show, you got Hannibal, I think, is one of the finest, if not the finest, horror television series ever made.
See, I don't even know that it's a horror series. I saw it more as a real thriller.
Yeah, but it dealt with some nightmare issues.
That's true, 100%.
This Friday the 13th series was skewing in that direction, and I was there for it.
All right, what's
If
next?
I read it. I don't know if I did.
Mark C says,
know if
watched
I
the
did.
Movie Pass Movie Crash doc last night. Good little film. I never knew the whole story to that. I felt bad for the original creators. Loved your cameo, John.
Until today, I didn't even know for sure that I did have a cameo in it. But thank you for letting me know, everybody. I cannot wait to watch it. I'm definitely watching it a little bit later today. And yeah, they really should make a narrative movie out of that. If they
I
can
just
get the
can't wait to
rights.
see what they clip of it, because we wantonly made fun of Movie Pass for years.
Oh yeah, we did.
Eviscerated it.
All right, what's next?
All right. Say My Name says, what's the point of going to movies when I can watch it in a few weeks later on my TV? Literal words from my stepfather. Now I'm putting in a letter here in the UK to relevant government personnel like France. Laws need to be introduced to protect theaters. Yeah. So there's that.
So for those of you who didn't know, they actually made a law in France. They take their cinema very seriously
Yes.
in France. And they actually passed laws that said you can't release a movie in theaters here unless you have a guaranteed, rather long theatrical
It's
window.
like 19 months or something.
Yeah, it might be kind of, that might even be unreasonable. Even
Right.
I might say that's, but still, they take it very seriously. But he's right. I mean, first of all, why go see in theaters? Because it's 10 times better watching a movie in a theater. It just is. That's just the real experience. That's the way directors and filmmakers intend it to be seen, all that kind of stuff. But I get what did he say, stepdad?
Yes.
Is saying. Like, if you know literally in just a couple of weeks it's going to be out, I get it. I'll still go see it in theater, but I get it. And even somebody like me, where going to the movies is my religion, I won't go see it multiple times in theaters because I know, okay, now that I've seen it once, I just got to wait maybe a week and a half before it comes out on. They're killing themselves. They're absolutely killing themselves. All right, what's next?
All right, we got a two-parter from Cena from Van. Hey, John and crew, I never watched Lord of the Rings, even though I always wanted to get into it. Cineplex has recently been having showings of some classic movies that I enjoyed seeing because of the movie-going experience, and it's on the big screen. Cineplex is showing the extended cut. Do you and the crew recommend me seeing Lord of the Rings, the theatrical cut in the theater, or the theatrical cut at home? Many thanks from Canada. I just always for the theater. That's would be my recommendation.
I mean, especially for a movie like Lord of the Rings. But
Yeah.
I would say if you go to the theater and see the extended cut, you've seen everything you're going to see in the director's cut or in the theatrical cut. You're going to see everything that
Oh, yeah.
you saw on the big screen in the extended cut.
It's all there.
It's all there in the regular theatrical cut, right? So I would say you can probably then watch the regular one at home. I would have recommended seeing the theatrical cut in theaters, then watching the extended at home. But either way, I think you only have to do one or the other. All right, what's next?
BK Dan says, John, let me share my two best theater experiences. A toss-up between Infinity War, Thor's entrance to Wakanda, with full theater and ire in the sky. 4 others in theater with me.
There was only 4 other people in the theater with you?
Wow.
Wow. Listen, I'll tell you what, like when I think about my theatrical experience, I don't think of moments. I think about the movies as a whole. And it all has different reasons, right? Like I was at the world premiere of Star Wars: The Force Awakens in the Chinese theater where the original Star Wars had its premiere. So there's something, it was a religious experience for me. It was a spiritual experience for me. That was crazy. Watching the original Avengers movie with all these jaded, picky, finicky film critics that were all losing their minds watching the true promise of a comic book movie finally come to life. I mean, that was a crazy good experience too. So it's all for different things, but I just love them all. All right, what's next?
Marco says, "Hi, John. What do you think of the news that MI8 is suffering major delays yet again, apparently for a technical issue? Anyway, don't you think this movie seems already doomed for a flop since the budget is said to be nearing 400? That can't be true."
No.
Well,
there's no truth to that.
okay, this is what happened. They had a $20 million submarine that was on a gimbal, a fake, a
Right.
production submarine.
Because that makes sense if you saw the last one.
And the gimbal or whatever that the submarine was on broke under the weight of the sub. And the thing is, like Neil Corbold, one of the great physical effects guys in the business, not visual effects, but physical effects, explosions. They have a great crack team, and this prop or this sub has delayed production. It was a big set piece because they've shot in the Arctic. They've shot a couple other places. Like there's 3 other places they've already shot, and this was a huge set piece. And they had a big mishap. No one got hurt or anything, but it broke. So,
I mean, that's going to cost them, but it's not going to drive a budget up to $400 million. Especially
At that point, you scrap it.
Yeah. There's no way the studio greenlights anything that is, because they will lose more money making that movie for $400 million than they would lose if they just scrapped the picture. So I don't believe anybody that says it's going to cost $400 million. I don't believe that at all, because there's no studio that wouldn't just scrap the project. But that it added to the complexity and it added to the expense, that totally 100%
yeah,
would.
that's all I know.
You know what that
Especially-
reminds me of? That reminds me of Steven Spielberg having problems with the
shark.
Bruce the Shark.
with Bruce
Yeah,
the Shark
I
in the
thought that
first
exact,
Jaws.
except Bruce wasn't $20 million.
Yeah, but also this is Paramount, who just can't afford to lose more money. I
Yeah.
just can't imagine that.
All right, what's next?
Full Boil, our final tip, says, "I became a fan of Mari Yamamoto, who plays Dr. Kiko Miura on Monarch. I thought she was one of the breakout stars of the show. Do you think she could be a good fit for Shogun? I think that would be exciting."
It's the same thing I always say. A great actor in a property is always a good thing. She's great. She's great. And I don't know how. Like every once in a while, who played Denise Richards?
Dr. Christmas
Played
Jones.
Dr. Christmas. And I thought Christmas only came once a year.
It's
One
the
of
best
the
line ever.
stupidest and best lines in a James Bond movie ever. And I thought Christmas only came once a year. Okay.
boy.
here's
That
the
movie's
thing.
not bad, though.
It's not bad. It's not bad. I did not believe Denise Richards was a nuclear scientist, though.
I wonder why.
I just... She, though, in
Sergeant
Monarch,
Troopers. Oh.
in Monarch, was able to convince
I thought you
me
were talking to Denise
of 2
Richards.
things. Number 1, that she was the sexiest woman in the room, and convinced me that she was the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
She was able to do both. And I honestly can't think of a lot of characters in movies and TV shows, male or female, that have been able to convince me of both. That is both the sexiest person in the room and and I'm completely convinced they're also the smartest person in the room. And she did it in Monarch. She pulled both off. And yeah, I would love to see her in anything else. All right, what's next?
That's it.
All right. Angel Feliciano just said something fucking stupid, which drives me crazy when this happens. She's so beautiful, women can't be smart. I said, no actor has been able to convince me with their performance that their character is both the sexiest in the room and convince me as an actor that they're the thing. I did not fucking say, so a woman can't be smart. This is one of the things that makes me want to retire off YouTube is fucking idiot people like this. Like taking something that I clearly did not say and try to twist it into something different.
Not to mention,
It drives me crazy.
you did say that beautiful women can be smart, because you literally just said that actress did it.
Yeah, she pulled it off. And it's not something that a lot of actors are able to convey and pull off.
Well, I mean, and the example you gave of Denise Richards, just because she's Denise Richards. I
But
mean,
she
hey,
never, her performance did not convince me.
that's
she
what I'm
was a
saying.
smart
I mean,
character.
the way she even
performance
looked,
was
a
rough.
nuclear scientist around the stuff that she was around probably wouldn't even have that hairstyle either. And I mean, and I don't think we're the only ones to mention that. I think every single person who ever saw The World Is Not Enough thought the same thing.
Anyway, all right. Let's move over now to our channel member questions, shall we? What questions have our channel members sent in?
I don't have any channel members. I had put that up, and then when I checked again, it was deleted. So I thought you deleted because we had so many topics.
No, I didn't. Maybe it just never got posted.
I posted it. It was there. And then when I went back to it, it was gone.
Oh, no.
So it must have got deleted by accident.
Oh, God. Oh, shit. Sorry, channel members. Sorry. Sorry. We normally like to take some channel member questions every day, too. And I guess we're not going to be able to today.
Yeah. I had it at one point earlier, and then when I went back, it was
Just gone?
Yeah.
All right. We will make sure we have extra time tomorrow for our channel member questions. Sorry about that, guys, very much. Anyway, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here, making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the questions. Number one, because you gave us fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported our channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. Don't forget to come on back and join us again tomorrow. We'll look forward to seeing you. Until then, I want to thank the people in the room with me, Ray Ora,
Bye-bye.
Jonathan Voico,
See ya.
writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett.
How?
My name is John Campea. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.